Guys, hear me now? All right. There it is. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dungeons and Castle Blackmoor. This is episode 16, I think, which is quite a bit of play. And I want to thank everybody for sitting in and watching with us and really enjoying the work that we're doing. And we will get right to it. So, a couple things for everybody. Tad's table rules. You probably all heard them. I will say them again. Uh, we consider most of our interactions, almost all of our interactions, are in character, unless the situation is clearly focused around mechanics and we're talking about mechanics. So, for example, if the players are meeting with someone, an informant, or they're interrogating someone, or they're trying to negotiate a deal, if they stop to talk to each other, we're going to assume that that is said in front of the target, in front of the NPCs that they're interacting with, which can, of course, change their behavior. And the players seem to really like that. They seem to thrive on that. And we respond to that fairly well. Now, there's going to be times when it's clearly a mechanics discussion or where we're talking out of character about a longer time stream about what our plans are for the week, things like that. That sort of stuff is self-evident. Second thing I do is almost all skill rolls are dropped into the tower in Fantasy Grounds. That means they're made discreetly so you can't see them. Big reason I do that is so the players respond to the information I give them about their environment, not the mechanics of the dice roll. And occasionally I will ask for other rolls to do that, but in general, the hit rolls and saving throws are almost always public for the players so they can see what's going on. So, for you, as a quick recap, last week our players pursued some leads that they'd had in the surface involving the agents of the Ache of Cute and his thralls. And they pursued them, managed to overcome the thrall, and then did a series of sort of investigations around it where they went through the pottery shop where the thrall's agents had been hiding and really began to sort through all the information they had. And they had made their way back to the comeback inn to sit down, relax a little bit, take a long rest, and begin to parse through and go through all the things that they had passed through. So that being said, we are now with the players in the comeback inn, waking up, and really starting to begin to piece together some of the elements they've had. So before we get too far into it, however, I'm going to give my players a chance to introduce themselves, talk a little bit about their characters, and talk a little bit about what they're planning for themselves this session and next. So go ahead. Mr. Regan, would you like to discuss your NPC, Philip Slama?
Sure. Still the way around, but that's cool.
I know.
He's a bit down on his luck, but he's working his way back in to the good graces of Hirsch after getting pimped over by that rat statue, that rat bastard statue. So he's trying to figure out, where he fits in and how to deal with this leadership problem he's having on his end. So that's where his mind is at right now after that encounter.
All right. So, Jenna Bink, go right ahead.
So I'm Jen, not Jenny, and I play Jenna Bink, my lovely artificer gnome, and she is accompanied by her arcane or her battle defender catapult. And she is currently hypothesizing that there's a way for her to construct a new form of goggles in order to prevent the influence of the coot with the blue flashingness. So she's going to be definitely doing some research on that and trying to hopefully defend the rest of the people in the party because, while She has been getting around unscathed, mostly because of how useful Catapult is. Everyone else keeps getting banged up, and clearly they need help.
All right. Mr. Turo, would you like to talk about Penny?
Yep, my name is Matt, and I'm playing Penny today. I think Penny's goal right now is to, in a very diplomatic and reasonable way, as Penny always is, she would like to renegotiate our current benefits plan with old William Fletcher, because we were told to go into the dungeon and deal with this kind of stuff. We were now told that we would have assassins and other horrible things, and things trying to influence our minds on a constant basis that Penny's not so down with. So she wants to go renegotiate the health and benefits plan that she's currently receiving from the Wizard's Cabal, which is jack and shit.
So are you saying Penny has questions and issues? Is that what I'm hearing?
With the Wizard's Cabal in particular.
Yes.
Due to this contract that she feels like she's getting swindled on.
All right. Outstanding. I can't tell you how potentially entertaining I think that is, Matt. Jimmy, would you like to talk to us about Delbert?
Delbert is wondering about. He's concerned with the things that have been going on with
Right.
the assassination attempts and the overall picture as far as what this means for the city of Blackmoor and for our mission and for us. And I've got some spells to transcribe, so that'll happen for sure.
Understood. Understood. I think those are all reasonable kind of aspirations for everybody, no doubt about it. So, well, all right. Let us get to it here. I'm going to drop you guys onto the first floor of the Comeback Inn. Let's pick a table and let's sort of begin today. So, we are 3 days from the Festival of High Spring, right? So, and Jimmy, Delbert knows that his family normally has some sort of formal dinner or is invited to a formal dinner, and you believe your sister-in-law and your brother are going to host this year, and it's only the second time they've done it. So that's probably going to tie you up in about 3 days. Additionally, there are a number of pretty special religious observances that go on that day, especially for some of the agrarian gods. So the third thing that happens is there is a citywide foot race, and then a horse race, and then a carriage race that goes on that runs the circumference of the entire city. So if we look at that on the overall map here, basically what happens is Blackmoor has a ring of streets that run all the way around the outside of the city. And there is a foot race and also horse race and carriage race that also occurs on that day. So pretty big festival day, lots of things going on. Not a lot of people are working. In general, there's a lot of consumption of various assorted chemicals, I guess is the best way to put it. People drink a lot, they do other things, they have a good time, and pretty much nobody works unless, it's the guard, or it's people whose job is protecting public safety or running specific events. So, that being said, those are the things that are coming for y'all and that are going to be going on in the city here pretty quickly. All right. So, folks see you coming down at different points. I'm going to assume was for expedience sake that everybody gets up at about the same time and heads over to get something to eat and have breakfast. And everybody is down in the Comeback Inn at a table, and the gals come running over to see you. So, and it's Maple, and she is right there, and she sees you as you sort of come come down from upstairs and brings you. Oh, would you like to be sitting next to the stage, a fireplace, or just someplace as quiet as I can find you?
Probably
quiet
some
would be
places
good.
quiet. Yeah.
All right,
Coffee would be better.
we'll take right care of you. So she gets this table over by the bar for you. So she leads you basically. Whoops. She leads you basically to this table here, and Catapult plunks down in the chair, and the maids are moving all the way around. So she encourages you to sit down right here, and she says, "I'll be right back with coffee and tea." So anybody need anything else? And she goes, Jenna Bink, she knows what Jenna Bink wants for breakfast, so she will take care of her in that way. Also, Penny. So go ahead, pull up a chair, plunk down.
So does anybody else feel like this whole thing going on right now with the Wizards Cabal isn't so great?
Oh, I agree with that. Yes, they are being quite contentious and unrelatable, unpersonable even.
Well, not only that part, like that part I kind of understand because they're always like that. But I'm saying like we were hired to do a job, not to get like hunted down and almost murdered multiple times. You know what I mean?
Oh, I just assumed this was all part of field research.
Well, normally there would be like a hazard pay for something like that, and I don't think we're really getting that.
I'm pretty sure they're just going to classify this under duty to the state and sweep it under the rug. No need to pay people for something they should be doing their patriotic duty for.
Yeah, that may work for like you and Delbert over there, but for me that don't really work so much. My patriotic duty is more to myself.
So we renegotiate? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, yeah, I mean, like Idris, when he talks, people want to listen to him for some reason. I'm not really sure why. It's probably because he's got like one of them pretty female-like faces.
I know it's hard to relate to that, Penny.
Yeah, I mean, you are definitely more ladylike than I am and most of the men in this room. I will give you that.
Thank you.
I mean, I've never seen a male with nails so immaculately clipped in that style.
Cleanliness is next to deitiness.
Okay, so maybe you could like talk to old Fletch and see if we could fix this to where maybe, I don't know, we're getting some sort of like health benefits or something, or if we gotta go see your clerics or any of those people it's taken care of on the house or something. I mean, they got all this money sitting around.
Well,
I don't know. The cleric thing is kind of not beneficial to us because, as you pointed out, we become incredibly cheaper if we all die. And it's unlikely that simply one of us is going to die. It's much more likely, statistically speaking, that we all will die at the same time.
Maple,
Very comforting.
Yeah, I don't really plan on dying at all.
So Maple comes swinging in, and she sets down a thing of almond butter, some fresh, really warm muffins and biscuits, a little bit of gravy, some ham, all the drinks that you want, a little bit of cider. She gets coffee, tea, whatever you need, a couple different things of it. She also sets down a basket of peaches, a little, small basket with about 9 peaches in it, and she goes, "So let me know if you need anything else. I'm gonna go. Anything else? Anything else?"
nope.
All right.
Yeah, if you could like speak lower next time in the mornings when we've all gotten like 2 hours of sleep, that would be appreciated.
Oh, no problem. I'm hearing one cup of Bobov's grog so we can clean out your hangover. I'll have it right to you. And she wings off. Comes back in about 30 seconds, and Bass is down at the other end of the bar just kind of looking at you, cleaning a mug. She comes back with this steaming mug of green liquid, puts her hand on your shoulder and says, "It's best done in one go, Penny," and heads off.
I don't got a hangover. I just didn't get a lot of sleep.
So, she's gone.
So yeah, I'm thinking we should probably talk to old Fletch.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have any sway over the Wizards Cabal. I mean, he can ask nicely like us, but
Wasn't he the one who hired us?
well, yes, he hired us. But if you have a problem with the Wizards Cabal,
I mean, I have a problem with our
confusing
contract.
the Wizards Cabal with the
government.
Inquisition, which is a part of the Wizard Cabal.
I don't have no problems with
Sort
the
of.
Inquisition. I'm not even talking about those guys.
Fletch is definitely the one to talk to about the Wizards Cabal.
Well, I mean,
And our contract, since he's the one who hired us.
from what I understand of how this government is formed, the Regency Council, which is made up of all the individuals who serve on it, Uther, Meander, all those people, and Fletch is a person on that council. They make the laws, but when it comes to magical things, the Wizards Cabal is in charge of all things, and the Inquisition, it's their domain to say what happens there. I mean, even within your own group, there are different factions. So I would just be wary of using Fletch in this way to go up against an organization that's clearly within its bounds, if you know what I mean.
I don't know who was talking about the Inquisition. I don't really care about that. What I care about is like these weird blue-eyed freaks trying to kill us and stuff.
Well, of course, yeah, but what's the Regency Council going to help you with there? Put in a ban where they can't travel into our country? That ain't working out too well.
No, but they could supply us with the proper goods to deal with these things. My arrows don't even hurt these guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, if
They
you
could
want
build a
magical
wall
weapons-
around the city. Oh, wait. We already have one, and it didn't help.
Yeah, I mean, something with flying and magic kind of defeats physical barriers. I mean, ooh.
Yeah, and they're the
Penny-
people that control all the magic in the city, so why don't they just, like, help us out? Maybe give us something to protect our brains or something when all these things try and get in there and whisper
I'm
all
working
the dark
on
little
that.
dots.
I did
have
inquire about
hypotheses
that, and
about
nothing
that.
has been discovered so far. Our best bet is actually Jinnabink in this case.
See, I have a hypothesis. I'm already in development on the research of that. I just need some time. And Penny, if your main complaint is your inability to shoot things because you don't have a magical weapon, I could help you with that.
How can you do that? I thought you just put, like, little gadgets on things and, like, glue people's limbs together.
Well, I do, and I currently have a gadget on my armor, and I have a gadget, as you like to call it, on my warhammer. But if you would like, I can replace. I can repurpose some of the stuff on my armor to help out your crossbow, or you'd have to choose one item. But I could certainly improve that.
How long would that take you to, like, repurpose them?
I believe I can do it in about an hour.
I would appreciate that. It would make it significantly better for me to, like, deal with these things that want to murder us all the time.
Well, I mean, you could do that, or I mean, couldn't you just go to your people for things?
I mean, yeah, but if we're working for the Wizards Cabal, having illicit things, as you say, that they control would probably not be the best of ideas.
So
Well, I'm not saying they control everything. Oh,
Ellen Morwen comes down the stairs, and she took a bath, so she's behind Idris, who actually stayed with her last night. You all know. And she comes down and she grabs a chair and she starts to jam it between Delbert and Idris, and she goes, "Is this space taken?"
We're kind of having, like, a private business talk right now.
I'll slide over.
All right. She goes, "Penny, do you not want me here? I might be useful. You never know."
she's probably the best person to intercede on your behalf with old Elton John over there.
That's true.
She goes, "Here, the dog!" Holds up her finger. Bat nods to her. So she sits down and goes, "Well, you're eating? I never eat breakfast. What the hell? Well, those peaches look good." And she grabs a peach and she bites into the peach and sort of wipes it off. So squeezes Idris on the knee and says, "So, what's going on?"
Well, Penny was just saying how it's unfair that she does not have a weapon of fine quality and would like the fetch to supply her with one because of the dangers of this assignment.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Penny wants what I believe she referred to as increased hazard pay.
I mean, I would have thought you would have gone to someone like Stewart's High End Arms or something. I mean, they can sell Wizards Cabal items, magical things. I would have thought someone of your streetwise know-how would know of these places.
Well, I know of plenty of places, but I feel like it would not behoove us to be walking around with illicit goods right now while working for people that control said illicit goods.
You should make him a crossbow with multiple arms that are ratcheted into place with gears. Her, yes. Ratcheted into place with gears and an automatic feeder for the bolts.
And then she could be in the shadows yelling, "Get some! Get some! Get some!"
When she pulls it out, it should automatically just kind of like ratchet into place, just like.
Well, that's some arcane science I'd like to see.
It's certainly possible. As a matter of fact, I believe some J.R. Gatling had been working on that kind of crossbow.
And Penny, it's not an illicit good if it has the mark of the Wizards Cabal on it. So, I mean, if you buy a legitimate item, you're fine there.
This is true. And to be fair, if I improved your crossbow for you, which, by the way, I was thinking about it, and it does take me it would have to wait until tomorrow morning because I really only have time to access my workshop at night. But that said, I would lose my armor, and then I would keep falling over like Idris or Delbert.
Yeah, that was a weak attempt to say that someone such as my caliber falls down. I believe I take copious amounts of damage dealing with situations where people put others to sleep or others send their mechanical creatures off without any idea of a plan. I'm just trying to pick up the slack here with this group.
Well, Penny, I gotta agree with you.
I would say that.
No, I think our waitress is trying to tell us something. I can't hear in this circle of silence we've created.
Oh, that was really cute here.
You'll have to speak up, honey. We can't hear you from that far across the inn. Just come over here and tell us what's the special for this morning. Come on. You don't have to shout it. Don't be shy. We don't bite much.
All right, fine.
Oh, she's a low talker.
I feel like she's having issues with her voice today.
Is that better, dear?
One of those ones that are better seen and not heard, apparently.
Can any of you read lips?
I can actually, but unfortunately, she apparently is speaking a language that I don't understand, and so therefore my lip reading skills are ineffective.
If only she could write it down, I could read any language.
All right, how's that, folks? A little bit better?
Much,
All right,
yes.
very good. So, well, Penny, I have to agree. I do think your job is kind of grim and horrible, and I very much appreciate what you're saying, in that it seems like you're doing a lot for not a lot of gain. But I've seen like 4 groups do what you guys are doing, and you guys have kicked over the anthill quicker and more efficiently than anybody has.
Is that the goal? Kicking over the anthill?
I think the Regency Council just wants to know what the bloody hell is going on. That's what I think.
So say we all.
Right.
But in the meantime, we've got people trying to assassinate us on the daily, and that's a lot of stress. I feel like it's worth a bit more coin than what we're currently getting paid.
All right, well, it's going to be outstanding to watch you guys talk to Fetch out of more coin. He's one cheap guy.
I know he is. I know, but the bottom line here is that it doesn't matter for me. I have interests, right? But for Penny and for Jinnabink, it definitely matters how much they're getting paid.
I mean, yeah, for me it definitely matters. I think Jinnabink's in it more for the research aspect, unless I'm mistaken with all the things she said in the past. But
Well, certainly grants are a part of research, and my ability to economically sustain myself with my research is very important to me. I don't want to have to go back to my parents and grub for money, which is essentially what nobles do all the time.
Oh, we don't grub. We just straight up ball out for it. You're like, don't take my pocket change away, Daddy. No, no.
You know, as a Galen and as a genius, I know that my time is worth far more than what I'm currently getting paid. Again, it's not as much of an issue for me because, again, I am a Galen, but there is a difference in compensation. There's a level of disconnect between worth and compensation, I feel.
Well, I think what's going on for both, you and Idris is the two of you until, actually pass through your 5-year period of trial, really can't take full advantage of all the things that come with being a noble. So it's almost like you're, a journeyman for a bit. So.
Yeah, in a deadly profession, you must survive for 5 years. Hey, but you know what, Penny? If you do go to the Regency Council, and if you can convince Fletcher William, then all you have to do is get him to convince Syldanis from the Wizard's Cabal to give you a magical weapon. And that is something I would like to see.
Why would that be so difficult?
Well, you'll find out when you get there. But, Delbert, you want to take any bets? You want any in on any of this action? But you know what? You may have an ace in the hole. You're a Dokray. Svail Highfellow is a Dokray. That may be the sympathy vote you need. But it seems like going to the Regency Council for a magic weapon is a little overkill. We could just go to the weapons store.
We've been informed of a discount, but not actual grants. And I think that's probably not forthcoming. But a slight pay increase is probably doable considering the level of attention that we're getting on the surface during our downtime. Supposed downtime. Just saying.
I mean, I'm happy to go talk to Fletcher.
10% would be outstanding.
Well, why don't we go talk to Fletcher and see what happens?
I agree. I mean, he has seemed like a very reasonable person, and that's not just because he's the dean of the university.
Oh,
yes.
Well, that's true, but you've never spoken to him about money.
Oh, we have.
Very
I've
well.
heard stories from my parents.
Alwyn says, if you guys, I will tag along if you want me to. Otherwise, I've got a couple things that I'm doing right now. And listen, I'm going to the theater tonight. If anybody wants to go with me, y'all can.
Oh, what are they showing?
So, let's see. It's the lamentable tragedy of Uther and his father. And I think it talks about the loss of his father and how Uther rose from the ashes. So.
Ooh, sounds like we might get some barbarians.
You and I went and saw the dress rehearsal, remember?
Sure.
Yeah. Actually, 5 sessions ago, you tagged along
at the theater. That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so you've actually seen a dress rehearsal for this. So.
I've heard it's completely historically inaccurate. I'll pass, thank you.
Very good. All right, so what do you guys want to do? Do you want her to come with you, or do you not? And you want to go see the fetch, right?
Yeah, old Felchie.
All right.
I don't see how her presence will be beneficial to us. It will simply seem as though we are incapable of requesting additional funding for grants and research without her presence?
She says, Jenna Bink, I kind of agree. I mean, I'd back you up if you wanted me to, but this is your gig. I mean, my advice to you is make your case straightforward, see what you can do. I mean, the fetch is on your side, but he's one cheap bitch, and he's got a lot going on. So, luck, brothers, sisters. I'm gonna go see what I can see. Y'all have a good day. And she gets up, finishes the mug of mead they brought to her, sets it on the bar, and heads out. And you guys realize she took about 3 more peaches.
Okay.
I believe there's an acceptable cost analysis that details the fact that we are now encountering things like were-rats, and were-rats, as we have all experienced, are resistant to non-magical effects. So the fact that I can only make 2 magical effects per day means that we really do need additional funding and research. So I think, logically speaking, we have a good standing point here.
You have these lists already written down?
Yes, I do. Absolutely, I do.
Of course. Okay. It would be good to bring those along.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've been generating these while we've been talking. The small talk that you all experience is optimal time for me to actually do research and combine logical ideas into something that can be actioned upon.
I have no doubt that you have rough sketches of a crossbow at this point as well.
Oh, yes. It would be quite easy, given my Smith's tools and my ability to really generate tools for anything out of anything. I could make a crossbow. The problem is that making a magical crossbow would be time consuming. And while I could do it, I think it would be much more advantageous for us to get additional funding. Plus, I would still need expensive materials in order to, create a crossbow for him. And that would interfere with my research with the coot light, as I'm now calling it.
Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
I'm glad that you recognize that, Delbert. You make an excellent laboratory assistant.
Thank you.
You can't even do a peer review at that level.
All right, brothers and sisters. So are we going to make our way to go see the fetch then?
We are, yes.
Yep.
All right. Anything you want to do while you're in transit or no?
Not get attacked would be nice.
Yeah, not get attacked.
Yeah, not get attacked, yeah.
Any specific precautions you'd like to take?
Wait, I have a background thing that I do.
Oh, can we get a long rest?
So yes, you did get a long rest. So seriously, right here.
I need to purchase a diamond.
All right.
And I will note that Catapult cannot be surprised.
I will attempt to use my city secrets pad to take the least likely path where ambushes would be advantageous to the people trying to do it.
Here's the thing. If we look at our Blackmoor map, you guys are right on top of right on top of Fletcher's office and the University of Blackmoor. See over here to our left, there's that little building, got green trees on either side of it. That's the comeback in right there. And over here where that arrow is, that's Fletcher Christian's offices, or if you remember, on the 5th floor of the 7 floors. And he is in charge of his department is contemporary studies and history. So that's a specific area that's a specific division that he chairs. So, I mean, it's right there. So you can take a circuitous route if you want to, but, I mean, it's basically walking across one square. So.
Okay. Well, I will attempt to have us do it as efficiently as possible to where we are not ambushed.
Understood. All right. So you cross. Everybody go ahead and drop perception check into the tower for me.
Had to unbury the tower.
No problem. Okay. Penny, Catapult actually rolls up next to you and sort of tugs on your cloak and walks over off to your left very quickly. And go ahead and give me another perception check.
Perception.
There is, and now back it up with an intelligence check. Penny. All right. There's one of the Kabbalist arcane warriors attempting to be in disguise, sort of shadowing you guys. He was waiting for you when you came out. So, and that actually should have been Jenabink, but it worked out in terms of roles. Sorry. All right, so you've got one of the Kabbalists, one of the arcane warriors that you guys have met and that has escorted you to their safe house and you've seen several times, is clearly keeping an eye on you guys and shadowing you guys. What would you like to do?
Is there any way to slip into the crowd?
I'm actually pretty cool with that because it means we have an escort to prevent people from trying to assassinate us. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Can I attempt to slip into the crowd then?
Absolutely, go for it. Give me a stealth check.
Sure.
All right.
There are some inks and other magical things that I need that I'll be purchasing along the way as well.
Okay. Penny, go ahead and give me an insight check or a perception check, your call.
I think they're the same. I'll just...
So he almost loses you, but somehow manages to track you because he seems to be pretty good at his job. And he sees you drop and makes eye contact with you as you're moving in behind him and just sort of gives you a professional nod and turns and walks away into the crowd. What are the rest of you doing?
I am moving on toward Fletch's office with not a care or any kind of tactical acumen.
Excellent.
Yep.
I'll rejoin the group.
All right. Okay, so you guys make it over to see Fletcher William, and you come upstairs, and he has his door open, and he is talking. So there you got the fetch.
Yeah.
And there you've got this other individual who you kind of know as Jessup. She was a grad student kind of in your class. Very, well known to both Idris and Jenabink and also Penny. Kind of a favorite in some of the ways that you guys were favorites also. Jessup is more of a scholar than anything else. You would never think of her as... She's definitely not a member of the Cabal. She never studied in the Bardic College. She's pretty much straightforward academic. And she's doing the equivalent of graduate work right now. So he's talking to her with the door open, and he sees you, and he pats her, he reaches forward and pats her on the knee and points, and she talks to him a little bit briefly. Go ahead and make a perception check.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Oh, yeah. Bunch of you hear him say to her, "Oh, hey, I really need to talk to these folks. You understand, don't you?" And she goes, "Well, absolutely, sir. So are these the folks that have been?" He goes, "I'm not at liberty to talk about any of that, and you should not gossip." She goes, "Yes, sir." And she steps outside, and she goes, "Hi, Jennabank. Idris."
This was the one who was cheating, right?
Huh? No, this was not one that was cheating.
Oh.
Yeah, this is somebody different. This gal is always knew what was going on. Friends with a lot of people. Very nondescript but present at all times is, I think, the best way to understand her.
Right.
So, And she sort of smiles and she goes, "Are you Penny?" And she points at Penny. Are you Penny?
Who's asking?
Me. My name is Jessup. So I'm studying contemporary studies here with the Fetch.
Okay, and what does this have to do with me and why you're asking who I am?
Oh, because I heard that there was a decry called Penny who was spending a lot of time with the Galens and the Regans, and I just thought that must be you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. I'll leave you alone.
You,
Oh,
you
it's
have to
okay.
understand, Penny. Jessup is an individual who makes it her research mentality to do an ethnographic and social study of every group within the university. And as we have joined a group in the university, she has made it part of her research to discover the dynamic of that group.
Absolutely. Social pods let us see the matrix with which information passes and is cross-fertilized within a group.
So what you're saying is you're nosy. So if you could just mind your own business and keep your business out of my business, you can talk to them or whatever. But unless we got some direct business going on between the two of us, maybe, keep my name out of your mouth, if that makes sense.
Penny, would you please make an intimidation check with advantage?
Okay. I'm not very good at these, man,
Show them your scars.
She goes, I'm sorry I offended you. The Fetch is waiting for you. You have a great day.
Oh, there was no offense taken. I'm just saying maybe keep my name out your mouth. There's no disrespect or nothing. Just I don't know you. You don't know me. Maybe you shouldn't be talking about me.
I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't worry, Jessup. She's short with everybody. It's okay. Don't take it personally.
I'll grimace a little at that joke, and
The Fetch sticks his head out of his office door and goes, "Jessup, thank you." And she goes, and he looks over at Idris and he goes, "I'm certain she'll overlook it. Come on in."
Oh.
I don't like what's going on here, but I'm gonna let it slide.
Is that
I
because
don't.
it's going over your head and you can't reach that eye?
The Fetch says, "Well, we're certainly being small, no doubt about it. All right, come on in. Come on in. What can I do for
You're
you?"
right. You're right. Let's be the bigger people and walk away.
Idris, it has not even been 12 hours since you've been stabbed in the chest.
That's how great a zeal for life I have. Without taking these risks, how can I gain the blessings of Hirsch? Peace and good love, no disrespect. God bless.
Jenna Bink is walking in and ignoring all of the puns. Puns are linguistic things that are beneath her.
So Fetch sits down and he's got a pot of tea and he has a pot of tea and he, you guys come in, he mage hands the door shut and he goes, "So how can I help you? What can I do for you? You guys have had a tremendously challenging time, I know." And
Penny would like to submit a request for proposal to you regarding her defensive and financial outlook as part of this undertaking we're in. Penny, I give the floor to you. Let's step back.
I throw the bus over you.
What I think Idris was trying to say there is basically this contract you kind of got us in right now is pretty shit.
Well, and to Penny's point, I've actually constructed a spreadsheet of the various reasons and rationale why our pay and or compensation should be increased, including the acquisition of weaponry to further aid our endeavors. Yes.
hang on. And he opens up his desk drawer and he pulls out a glass bottle of brown liquid. He pulls out 2 glasses. He pushes one towards Delbert. He sits one next to himself. He pours himself 2 fingers of the liquid. He pours Delbert 2 fingers of the liquid. He plots it back up. He rubs himself between the eyes and he goes, "Very good. Begin."
So basically, we've been getting assaulted by like creatures and stuff that have been attacking our brains and minds and things. And not only that, our regular weapons don't even work against them. The thing that Idris got, that whatever that sword is, seems to work, but he had to become somebody's bitch to get that thing. I don't really feel like doing that. So, maybe you could provide us with some tools we can use to fight these things and maybe protect our brains a little bit, since there's something trying to dive in there and make us have our worst fears and things realized on like a daily basis.
To give you an actionable method of assisting us to perform our duties, I've listed here itemized ways that you can do so. For instance, Penny would appreciate having weaponry because we have, as you may be aware, been fighting were-rats. Were-rats are resistant to any attacks that are non-magical. I can only infuse a certain amount of items, and Penny could certainly use some magical means of attacking said creatures. Also, along the lines of not being overtaken by the coot, I have hypotheses and would like to submit as part of my thesis research involving goggles that would prevent us from being influenced by the coot. And I need grants for that, please.
So I think we have two different components here. Let me break them out in isolation. You've encountered numerous creatures that are resistant to non-magical weaponry. They're warded, in effect, and you believe that you need, in order to deal with them effectively, access to items that will help you bypass that protection. That's thing one. All right.
Yes.
Let's take a quick survey then of your group and see what you have available as assets. So, Jenna Bink, you can, of course, at this point, you have the ability to infuse items with arcane energy to sort of the gate of science and take effective action there. Is that correct?
Correct. I have done so with both my armor and my weaponry, but that is the extent of my abilities. Anything else would need to be repurposed and therefore limit one or the other.
All right. And, of course, Idris has the moon sword that we've talked about, and that item is just beginning to come into its power, correct? So, I believe...
That is correct.
I believe, Delbert, if I remember correctly when we talked, you have taken Shadow Blade, and of course you have different arcane magic that allows you to strike. So the only person with this deficiency at this point is Penny. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
True.
All right. So, well, I can see what I can do in that regard for you. Many magic items, as they come in, get taken directly to Vestfold for examination and study by the Cabal. So I don't have, unfortunately, unlimited access. But I can find out what's available for you. I can actually do that very quickly. I was just in a conversation about some of those issues. I can find out what's available for you, and we can see what fits into your need. Now, I believe that Delbert, given his status both as a Hythonian noble and also as a Kabbalist, he has the ability to lobby the Cabal presence in the city, and he can get some items, some potions, and some scrolls pretty much anytime he wants. You guys just have to be able to pay for them. Now, when it comes to more durable magic items, the Cabal restricts that, and we're under a special charter as the University of Blackmoor, where we have some items that we can produce and we can share, some potions, some scrolls, some things like that. And we can also act as a broker to purchase items from specific sellers. So I can do that. Now, the other thing I think I'm hearing you say is you feel that I'm being too damn cheap and you need more money?
I don't believe that was anywhere within the presentation that I constructed. However, I do believe that we need additional research grants in order to accomplish our tasking.
Well, no, I was translating directly from Decry as opposed to, editing slightly. Penny, do you feel I'm being too damn cheap and you need more money? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Listen, I'm not saying you're being cheap because I don't know what your financial situation is, and I don't want to put any words in your mouth. What I'm saying is, based on the hazards that are presenting ourselves due to this job, we are not receiving adequate compensation to cover such hazards to our brains and bodies in a more permanent way.
Well, there's some things I can do potentially to assist. Idris, Delbert, I want you both to think this through. So you have, right now, if I understand correctly, through the pottery shop that you managed to break out, the gnome was Zinc, was that his name, correct?
Yes.
All right, so you were able to sweep that area fairly effectively, correct?
We were.
All right.
Yeah,
so,
it was full of crock.
All right. What I want you both to do is I want you to think through what the legal process would be to dispense with the property within that building and also the building itself. And he's inviting you to make a history check if you want to sort of figure out what that would be. So...
We could totally
Very
buy
well,
this place at auction.
I can do that. I will confer with my my compatriot Idris and try and come up with the right answer.
Well, I think Penny's plan was real good.
All right. Delbert and Idris talk, and Delbert's like, so it occurs to you that in an instance like this, the physical property itself would absolutely be taken by the state and either repurposed or put off for auction. However, you can file a petition, in effect, that works like salvage, where you could say that any items that the state doesn't deem a direct threat because of your action, you have a right to seize, especially if there is no formal, especially if there was a crime committed and there's no formal legal document leaving it to heirs. No will. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of the word for a second there.
Gotcha. And there was a crime committed. Someone attacked two nobles at that site.
And you found and you also found a shrine to a demon rat god. So, you've also got a violation of, you've got secular law being violated. You've also got sacred law being violated. So in both those instances, you have the ability to take some action. So you could make a case to, file a civil claim for seizure of assets. All right. And as you're talking this through with the Fetch looks at Penny and she goes, so Penny, I believe in the jargon of your profession, when you whack a guy, you get his shit. Is that correct?
I mean, that is a very crude representation of what I do, but that is somewhat accurate, yes.
We could just take the inventory that's in there and put up a new sign and call it Penny's Pots.
Well, the building itself, that's going to be harder to do, but the goods themselves you could take and re-auction if you wanted to. Now, Penny, what I just did is let me explain to you how this works in Thonian. So, in some circles, we might say if we whack a guy, we get his shit. In High Thonian, we would say, in an instance of clear breach of etiquette protocol and the law, right of seizure goes to the aggrieved parties. Both these structurally work very much the same way in terms of how they're executed socially, but they're communicated and spoken in different ways. I actually think your way might be more honest in some ways.
Yeah, I understand you guys operate very similar to how my associates and I operate. You just do it within the confines of the law because you all have all the monies already.
So, very good. Yes. So I would say that's one thing I can do for you. I'm not in a position, given all the other things I have going on right now, to just say, here's another X amount of money. I'm giving you each 100 gold pieces a month. And also, we're absorbing the cost of you living in the come back in if you choose to do so, which is not cheap. So those things tap me a little bit. Also, you may have noticed that we have been dispensing and we have dispensed some magical items to support you. Granted, just potions of healing, but we have given you some support. But I think there is a way for you to recoup some of the money, and I wouldn't expect it to be a massive amount. But with the different things that were in that domicile, that place of business, there's a way for you to get a little bit additional money as you work through a couple different challenges. Does that make sense to all of you?
Yeah, but if you could expedite the whole process with the getting a magic weapon thing, because, listen, we got to go chase down some more of these little rat fuckers that went down into the sewers at some point in time and figure out where they're at. And it makes it real hard to find them and kill them and figure out what they're doing if I don't have any way to, actually put them in the ground first.
Rat fuckers. I think that's sort of a separate issue, and we'll talk about that. But you did want to find, Jedamink, you wanted to find out what magic items are available, did you not?
Yes, that is true. Yes, please.
So, Jessup. Yes, sir. And Jessup steps in.
She been outside listening this whole time?
Make an insight check.
She's his personal aide.
Penny, you saw him twist his ring as he called her name. All right. So she goes, yes, sir. She goes, close the door, come in. I want you to speak frankly. These are my agents also. She goes, very good, sir. He says, what items are currently available for purchase within the city that you're aware of? She goes, well, there's 4 specific items I think that we can secure and have access to at this point. The first is a potion of invisibility, but that item is under high demand, and I don't think that's going to be very cheap. Currently, it's come up from the south. Apparently, there was a tomb that was sort of popped open somewhere near this city of the gods. There is a scroll of imprisonment that, obviously that's tremendously valuable. Also, there is, and this is actually being held right now by the Temple of Henrin. There is actually a +1 Warhammer that has recently been found, and also I found there's an alchemist who has produced 8 pinches of dust of dryness, and that's also available. Those are the only 4 items that I'm aware of within the city at this time.
Oh, so how much does the +1 Warhammer cost?
Do you want to negotiate? You want us to negotiate it for you, or do you want to buy it in the market? So it really matters in terms of how you want it to be perceived. If we buy it for you, it's clearly going to be traced that we were your agents in buying. But Jenabink, if you want to buy it, you're going to pay a higher cost, but it'll be more discreet. Purely your decision.
I tend to like things cheap and efficient, and as I am doing research and will eventually publish, I don't have a problem with being the agent.
Catapult definitely knows that feeling.
We can, well, the items in question, it would probably cost somewhere around 5,000 gold pieces to get the potion of invisibility, just given the rarity of that item and the competition for it. It's useful to many people. It's also relatively rare. This Warhammer is of dwarven construction, but the clan that apparently used it is extinct, so you don't have to risk them coming to reclaim their family artifact, so that's a good thing. So you could probably get that for around 1,000 gold pieces. The Scroll of Imprisonment, that's going to be somewhere around 50,000 gold pieces. That's going to be very hard to get. The Dust of Dryness, I think you can get for about 50, 60 gold pieces a pinch if you have us pick it up. And of course, what the Dust of Dryness does is it absorbs water, and it makes it in a hard little bead, and you can take it and break it on the surface, and then it releases the water again also. They're quite useful too. So,
well, I will say, and I'm turning around to talk to the party. I will say that if we bought the Warhammer, that would provide me with a magical weapon to substitute for the Warhammer that I have been using, and then I would be free to infuse Penny's crossbow or whatever weapon she preferred.
Seems like that could be a sufficient plan, but that seems like a pretty rich price. I don't know if.
Well,
it depends on how much we get off this building by selling all the stuff inside, right?
Well, honestly, if I am doing my math correctly, and let's be honest, I'm doing my math correctly, we have well over 1,700 gold pieces, and so we could pool our resources and buy me the Warhammer.
Oh, whoa. I'm not into these socialist schemes here. Community pooling, no. I learned long ago in finances, you don't mix friends and finances, because that's going to get ugly.
Jenabink, who would you like to dispense inspiration to, because you made me break character? And you were at Cap.
Penny? I guess I'll give it to Penny.
All right.
That's a good choice. I only had 2. and I think you're pretty close. I want to say we have close to like 1,778 gold pieces, if I was keeping track correctly.
Well, I was just trying to round things because I know sometimes you all get very annoyed with me when I'm precise in my measurements. So yes, exactly. 1,778 gold pieces, 140 electrum, 827 silver, and 4 platinum, and 561 copper. Unless, Penny, you've been hoarding things again and not telling us, and I think that we need to have a discussion about that at some point. Thank you.
Well, one, I feel like you're now trying to bring our business out in public in front of these fine people that have nothing to do with it. And 2, I have no problem with us pooling our resources in order to provide you with magical assistance that would necessarily allow you to provide me with magical assistance.
I think it's only fair. I'm not saying that I need a magical Warhammer. I'm saying that by getting me a magical Warhammer, I can then provide you with what you need. And I think everyone will be safer and happier.
I think that is fair and equitable. I think Idris is probably going to disagree right now because he is what we like to call a greedy whore.
No, I just wanted to point out, all of you disagreed that trickle-down economics brought to you by the Hythonians didn't work, but here you are, us trickling down our resources to one person who trickles it down to the next. So I think we're doing something right here in this economy.
I believe if you continue trickling down, we're talking about more of a lateral current. And trickle down really does not work. If you reference several different economists coming out of the university, they've disproven that multiple times.
Oh, it's definitely trickled down with our heights.
I think he
You
was
want to
trying
weigh
to.
in on this, Jessup?
I think it's ultimately up to you how you dispense with your own resources. I
No, I
can.
meant about the trickle down economics.
Everybody's in it for themselves, aren't they?
You would have thought a scholar would have had a much better explanation. It's okay,
Oh.
girl. We know you're going to get to doctor before Jenna anyway because you're doing all the real hard work here in the university.
But you're not wrong.
Thank you, teaching assistant.
Fletcher, do you need anything else from me? The fetch goes, no, dear, I think we've got everything. And she goes, very good. I will be outside once you've determined what you would like me to do. It's been a pleasure seeing you all again. And the fetch has chosen to share with you sort of my role with him. Please, of course, this goes without saying, but as you are discreet with my identity, I will be discreet with yours. And thank you so much. And she steps out.
I rolled an insight check to determine whether or not Jenna Bank is on a faster doctorate track than Jessup.
Um,
You already lost 2 months in the dungeon.
She probably would achieve her doctorate at a more rapid rate than you are. But at the same time, the quality of your research based on what you're doing in the field right now will eclipse her.
Okay, I can be happy with that. There's just so you anyone watching Jenna Bank sees her suddenly get really sad and suddenly go, nope, oh, it's okay, we're okay.
It's okay. She's a liberal arts major.
And apparently connected with the fetch.
AKA future barista.
See, that's not what I got out of the deal at all. I got business and arcane business management and arcane purveyor.
She went to the Vestfold School of Business.
Well,
I have no doubt she'll open a magic shop at some point.
And then trick everybody by calling it Jessup's junk.
I personally would be willing to, in order to afford the Warhammer, because it is going to be primarily of my own use, I would provide all of my 419 gold pieces, and I would retain the rest of my coinage in order to sustain myself over the next few weeks. So the rest of you would have to, or actually, because you like round numbers, we could just say 400 gold pieces. So if between the three of you, we can get 600, then we can buy said Warhammer.
I feel like that is fair and equitable.
I'm willing to throw some coin that direction. It benefits me. I'll throw 200.
Well, I'm going to negotiate before I agree to give any money, because if we get it for a cheaper price, I mean, y'all just squandering your monies.
Well, that's fair. Why don't you go negotiate then?
Yes,
No
if
problem.
you would like to negotiate on our behalf, Idris, I will say that you are better at that than me.
The fetch says, Idris, as much as I appreciate, your desire to be involved in this process and in this transaction, Jessup goes as my agent, an agent at the University of Blackmoor, and she will get the best possible price for the item. It would probably go closer to 2,000 gold pieces if she wasn't involved in the process. And when I talked to you about us deploying resources to help discount items, this was exactly the sort of thing that I was talking about.
2,000 gold pieces sounds a lot more than 200 into the pot, if I know my math, Jenna. So I don't think you've done the numbers quite well on that.
It would be 2,000. I'm going to get it for you for 1,000.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right.
Proof is in the weapon. Proof is in the weapon.
Are you thrown into the pot or not, Idris?
But we're only asking you for 200 gold, and based on my calculations, you easily have that Delbert has already, and he has, minimal advantage to accepting this deal. So he is already giving 200. And Penny, I imagine that you are giving 200 as well.
I have already
Not
agreed to that as
so.
well.
Fantastic.
This benefits you and it benefits Penny. Penny's already saved my life several times, and as have you, and for that matter, Idris. I'm perfectly willing to support my friends.
You can have the
you
200.
guys support me, and I'm more than willing to help support you. So there. I think it's mutually beneficial, even if I don't personally get something from it.
I will give you the 200 gold in order to retain a 20% stake in the weapon.
20%.
Not what? Exactly sure how that works, but okay. Do you want my old Warhammer? I mean, I can certainly give you my old Warhammer.
Oh no! If you die or sell the weapon, I would like my stake back.
Oh, sure. So Jenna Bank pulls her 400 gold out, and she provides the 400 gold. I'm marking that off my character sheet now.
I will mark off my gold from the character sheet as well.
As will I.
Jessup, we want the Warhammer. He just twists his ring and says something and twists it back. And you hear his eyes, you see his eyes get a little unfocused, and he nods and says, she thinks she can have it for you within 2 days.
Well, then I'm going to go take all that crockery and make some bank.
Well, what you would need to do is you guys are going to have to formally petition. Once you formally petition and apply the right appropriate paperwork, then you'll end up with it. It's almost a slam dunk. You're sure of that.
Boom.
So,
that's what I will do on my Galen stationery I got.
there you go. That works. So, rats. You said something about go kill some more rats. What did you mean?
Were rats, the big hybrid humanoid kind.
Absolutely. So let's walk through kind of in detail the sort of things that you've encountered, so we can sort of get a feeling for what you think's going on. So you've, as I understand it, you've encountered thralls of Coot. I heard something about glowing blue eyes. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So paint a picture for me what you think is going on.
Well, it's clear that the Egg of Coot has somehow taken over a were-rat pod that contains prostitute were-rats, and they use them and their sewer access for some kind of, transportation in and out of the city, potentially in and out of the dungeon of Castle Blackmoor, because we've encountered them down there, and the intelligent rats we found down there have been talking to them. So they must have some kind of collusion going on between them. Something.
I suspect this as well.
It may not be beneficial to the were-rats, but they're definitely being used for something in the sewers as well, to go unnoticed amongst all of us.
So
I feel like there's a larger game at foot, and I'm not sure what that means yet.
Some kind of rat race.
I see what you did there. He's getting clever. I think I'm rubbing off on him.
Oh, Idris has always been clever. Always, always, always.
I do wonder how much of what we see in the dungeons is translating into the issues that we're seeing up here. I certainly have been, the whole people turning to goo thing is certainly consistent, and I will be noting in that in my research if it is cleared.
Jenna, tell me about people turning into goo. What do you mean there?
Oh, so when we were at Zink's and we killed him, the reason that you haven't been able to recover Zink's body is because he was a thrall of the Coot and he turned into goo after he died.
Excellent. And you're certain he was a thrall of Coot because of why?
So multiple reasons. The glowing eyes were the main component, and those glowing eyes also caused some issues with our party members. Both Penny and Idris both fell prone after being flashed with the light of the eyes, which is why I currently have my hypothesis and patent pending Coot light goggles.
Well, that was a rat statue. to one of their evil deities.
So let's.
That's
So
true.
then, what I think I'm hearing. Let me summarize what you've just told me, and let's see if this makes sense. So,
Oh, the coot is pretending to be their deity, and they were getting their orders from the statue.
is that what you think's going on, Idris?
Has to be, hands down. As
Okay.
my friend Barles Truckley would say, I guarantee it. It's terrible.
You may have inspiration, Idris.
That's the economy right there, people.
It is indeed. So you see the coot then as the through line through all of this. Am I correct?
Yes.
So far.
So
They're
far, it appears that way. However, I'm just looking at how things have played out, and it's pawn pushes. There was no way that the anything that's been sent against us so far should have been successful. So the object has not truly been to kill us, but to make us aware of things.
Well, I would tend to disagree. I mean, every time we've run into the were rats, they've kind of like taken you out almost every time, and a couple other of us have been knocked out. I mean, we got lucky that last go round, and in the streets, we only lucked out because they came at us in the open for whatever reason. And if we had a couple things go another way, there'd be a couple less of us here negotiating for a warhammer at this point.
Jenabink, go ahead and make an intelligence check. You can make an arcana check. Okay. Would you like to use an inspiration or a hero point?
I'll use an inspiration. I'll click it off in a minute.
Okay, it occurs to you that every time the war rights have attacked, they have targeted someone very consciously to attempt to infect with lycanthropy. So the attacks have been pretty aggressive, but there's also seems to be a direct attempt to try and tag at least one of you with the disease. When you think about it, that's been concentrated on one specific person in each fight.
And
Me.
that's Shane. Was it always Delbert, or I thought it switched?
Was Delbert and Penny. Delbert more times than not, Penny when she was upstairs.
So it is interesting and probably should be noted that statistically speaking, the were-rats have concentrated their biting on certain individuals within our party during our encounters with them. Frequently, it is Delbert. On the occasion, it has been Penny. And based upon Agatha, based upon our encounters with another were-rat that is currently in the custody of the Cabal, assuming they haven't killed her, we have learned that the lycanthropy certainly does something to the mental facilities of said people.
Absolutely. What will happen is the maker within any group of pod of lycanthropes is able to influence and decide the activities of the others. So if your maker tells you that you must do something, you are compelled. So there is then, based on that, in the chain, a Werlat who leads and who is having the Werlats in his tree of inheritance, the tree of his lineage, serve and or strike for the coot. That's what I'm drawing together based on the information you shared with me. Does this make sense to you?
Such a thing happen. How would we break that compulsion, the ability to compel us?
If you were to be infected, you would have a limited amount of time to find the sire of the line and slay him or her. Once you pass through your full wound cycle, you would lose control of your faculties, lose independent thought, and embrace the lifestyle. And you might be able to resist 1 or 2 full moon cycles. I've seen that happen. However, it's very, very hard to break from it. And at that point, well, you'd probably have to pass into my care and into the Moon Tower to give you some insight into also the origin of its name.
So kill the sire, become the sire. Is that what I'm hearing?
Kill the sire, become the sire, or kill the sire and have an opportunity to expunge the curse. So, but if you choose to become the sire and embrace lycanthropy in that way, you will no longer be the person you were.
Okay.
Are all these rat lycanthrop whatever people things you're saying, are they all bad?
Ask me that again, Penny.
All these people that are infected with this disease, are all of them bad?
No, they don't necessarily start out that way. So one of the things that happens with lycanthropy, and there are some exceptions, there is a version of lycanthropy that comes from, the bear god from the realm of Fae, and those folks are not evil. But most types of lycanthropy twist and pervert the people who are infected by it, and they become other than what they were.
Well, on that subject, are there any other entrances into the dungeons of Castle Blackmoor besides the one that we use? Because we've seen them down there.
Have you found any?
Not yet. I mean, we've been stuck on level 1. It's pretty big with lots of things.
We
did find some
aware
stairs,
that
though.
they are there. We have not met any.
Why do you believe they're there, Delbert?
And I'll pull out Quickfoot.
So, boss, what do you want to know? I've been hanging out here because, I've been hanging out here, and he's telepathic to you right now.
Yeah. So what are the names of some of the largest rats, the human type rats in the dungeon?
Gerinar, Spiketail.
And I'll read these off as I'll cite these off as he's telling me. So that
she who sucks entrails.
Okay.
Lysander, he says, and he's kind of struggling with the word. It's a language, but it's not one he totally gets, right? Lysander.
Okay.
So, Dudamar, Aja, and he lists about 14 different names. Some are in languages you know, some are in languages you don't, and some are just gibberish, like he who stalks in the night,
Okay.
one eye, stuff like that.
And once he gets done, I'll say those are the names of the were rats that are in the dungeon.
What languages do you speak, Delbert?
I speak all of them. Abyssal, Chale, Common, Dwarvish, Elvish.
A couple of the names that he is giving you, he is attempting to speak Abyssal.
Okay.
All right, but he doesn't know Abyssal, so he's bastardizing it, right?
Well, then I'll fix it as he.
That, sir, would be a straight intelligence check.
He does an abysmal job at Abyssal.
Dum-dum-dum.
Damn. 27.
Nice.
Yes. So, all right.
I speak the hell out of Abyssal.
You believe. Okay. All right. Fine. You can have inspiration. Fine.
It's like these puns are just infernal things all around us.
All right. So. You'll have to do a little bit of research to tie the names out, but you are fairly certain he is talking about his names, a couple demons, and you'll have to chase it back to type. But with the information, with the information that you have, you're fairly certain that you can determine exactly what the source of this is. So you'll be able to say, so it was Lysandra, right? And you'll be able to take that and you'll be able to say, that is, I think, this type of demon. But you're going to have to hit the books for it. But you have a way to figure out who is down there working with them based on what he shared.
Okay.
All right.
So now the Fletch has an idea. Do any of those names ring a bell with the known actors, lycanthrope actors, rare rat actors in Blackmoor, the region surrounding Blackmoor, or are those strictly within the dungeon? Because if they're in both places, then there's definitely another entrance.
We have up until now, we have not had this sort of problem. So this is a new manifestation, I think, is the safest way to describe this.
Okay. So those names do ring a bell.
I wouldn't say that they ring a bell, but I would say that this type
Oh,
of
they will.
they probably will, yes. This type of manifestation, this is a new occurrence, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Meaning were rats.
Meaning were rats manifesting in this way, yes.
Okay.
All right. Everybody, right now, I want you all to drop a, let's see, who has failed how many influenced by the darkness checks? Idris and
Penny
Penny.
and I are at 2, and Jenna Binks at 1.
All right.
Don't worry, Delbert. That lycanthrope is coming for you.
No, I know.
I want
Sooner or later, right?
I want everybody to make an intelligence save, -2 for every influenced by the darkness check that you've made. All right.
Okay. We're starting at a base of -5.
Delbert
-2 for everyone that we've made or failed.
failed. Excuse me.
Use inspiration on this.
You can use inspiration if you want. You can use hero points if you want.
I'll also drop a hero point. Why not?
-2 for everyone we failed.
Yep.
Oh man.
What the hell? I'll use a hero point.
Okay, go ahead.
Dadgummit, let me use one of those damn hero points.
Wow. Okay. Everybody done? Anybody want to do anything else? We all set? All right. The rest of you, Delbert, something occurs to you that prior to going into the dungeon, you had never heard of any sort of were-rat problem in Blackmoor. Never. Now, Jenabink, Idris, and Penny is the fetch is thinking, you're like, fuck, there's always been a were-rat problem off and on. We've heard about it our entire lives. But Delbert, you're like, hold it. I don't remember this at all. And, Jenabink and Penny, you're kind of like, were there were? No, there's always been. There's always been were-rats. But Delbert is almost certain that there's never been a were-rat problem in Blackmoor up until now. You don't remember one, ever.
Okay.
Jimmy, Delbert can also make an insight check on the Fletch right now if he'd like to.
That's what the Fletch has been trying to convey as well.
Yeah, you're not quite certain exactly what he's been saying, but you think he had. I mean, that might be the case, but you're not. It's not a slam dunk for you to determine that.
Okay.
The Fletch is the egg of Coot.
He is the sire.
So, all right. We would normally take our break right now. I'm going to suggest we finish this line of inquiry, and take our break after we're done with it. Does that work for everyone?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. I don't want to
Yep.
interrupt us. Good deal. All right. So, there you are. What else would you like to talk about?
So Fletch, why don't you could you give us the names of some of the were rats that you know about operating in the area?
He begins to repeat back some of the names that you told him. Go ahead and take an insight check. He is being transparent, but he's holding something back.
Okay. I'll give him the look like I know that you're not telling me everything. I'll give him that stink eye
Delbert,
look like.
what questions do you have, Delbert? What would you like to know?
There were no were rats operating in this area before we went down into the dungeon.
What are you talking about, Delbert? There's always been were rats in the city.
There have not.
I mean, Jenna, your mind is like way better memory-wise. Do you remember there always being were rats in the city?
I'm almost certain that last week I was reading research that indicated that exact thing, that yes, there have always been were rats in the city.
Idris, don't you remember there's always been were rats in the city?
Which books were you perusing at
It's
the
rat
time?
infested for sure.
I'd like to see the references.
So the fetch rubs his head, and there's a light sweat across his brow, and he goes, No, Delbert, I think I agree. There weren't were rats in the city prior to your descent. I think I do agree. What questions do you have, Delbert? Everybody
Why?
else, go ahead and make another intelligence check. And you can make it straight this time.
Why did this change when we went down below? Did our going down into the dungeon of Castle Blackmoor change the face of Blackmoor itself? Did we even emerge into the same Blackmoor that we left from?
Excellent. I'm going to hold you for a second. Jenna Bink, would you like to use a hero point?
Sure.
All right, so Idris, Penny, Jenna Bink, you're like, there's always been were rats here. What's he talking about? And all of a sudden, a light sweat breaks out on your brow, and your head aches for a few brief moments, and you're like, there haven't always been were rats. What is this? Why did I think that? All right, Delbert, repeat your question again.
Did us going down into the dungeons of Castle Blackmoor change whether or not there were were rats operating here? And beyond that, did we even emerge into this the same Blackmoor that we left from when we started the mission?
So you've asked a very good question, and not everyone who descends gets to that particular question. So here's what that means. Remember how I told you that you should not do intense amounts of research? Remember how I told you that? I am, and he starts to speak in Chale. I am convinced. I'm convinced that what you see shapes, and you hear his voice sort of fracture. All right, and it's like you're hearing his voice 7, 8, or 9 different ways. It's his voice, but it's coming from different directions. It's out of sync. It's like it's stuttered. He says, "I'm convinced that what you see shapes the world that Blackmoor is." And he steps back, and he inhales, and he exhales, and he goes, "I don't understand it completely. You've been chosen because we think you can, but reality is shaped by what's below, below." And at that point,
Idris is rich and powerful. Idris is rich and powerful.
Am I hearing different versions of the Fletch all at once? And are they all saying the same thing? Or am I hearing like overlapping slight variations in what he's saying?
who has proficiency in Arcana? You and Genebank, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely the two of us.
Yeah, go ahead, and the two of you go ahead and drop an Arcana check for me into the tower. This is a tough one.
Well, if it's a tough one, then I'll use inspiration and get another roll.
Genebank, you actually did a paper on this sort of stuff, sort of the multiverse theory of how energy is going to manifest. And you are almost certain that what's going on right now is you have him speaking from multiple planes to you guys who seem to be a fixed point. So you're being surrounded by him. All right. You're being surrounded by different versions of him, and it's almost like he's slipping in and out of existence in the same form. And Jimmy, when you make your inspiration roll, you're kind of getting it, but you're not. You ended up with a 16 and a 15. Jenna blew the number. All right. Jenna, are you going to share any of this? So you're not quite certain what's going on. You can't fix on it, Jimmy. But Jenna Bink, you're absolutely certain that there's some sort of fracturing going on. You're hearing multiple voices from multiple points in the stream, in the universe.
So Jenna Banks starts darting around the room to listen to what he's saying at different angles. And she starts giggling.
What's funny?
No. This is so cool. So I did a paper on this. So this is exactly what the multiverse theory was like, inputting. And so it's like he's coming at us from different planes, but like we are so important and we have such a proficient existence that we are the prime point. So we are solid and we definitely exist, whereas all the things around us don't possibly exist. And there was a paper on this. And I start like going through my messenger bag, trying to find the paper that I read on this, if I have it with me.
Hold. As you move around him, all right, it's almost like there's different Doppler effects. It's almost like you're passing through zones. You feel like you're pushing through different membranes, all right, and you stop, all right, and yeah, he's localized. There's like he's a focal point, and by that you mean the fetch, all right, and all of a sudden you guys feel almost like a pop in consciousness. All right. You almost feel like there's a shift, a blur, and you kind of vibrate. It's almost like your bones shake. And the fetch kicks forward and blood runs out of his nose. And he spits up a little blood onto his mouth. And he opens up his desk and he pulls out a flask and he pops the flask and he drinks what you guys recognize as some sort of healing potion and he drops it. And you see him, his color gets a little bit better. So,
I start taking notes about him, the effects upon him. So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling like we need to take our break. All right, folks. We will be right back, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes. And thank you so much for sitting in on the stream. Lots of good stuff coming to the surface today, and more to follow. All right, we'll see you in a little bit. All right, folks. All right. Congratulations, folks. You're starting to see actually what's going on. And this is based on a conversation Dave Arneson and I had about D&D and how the multiverse works back at Gen Con in 2013 or 14, the year before he died. And I said, what if the Dungeons of Castle Blackmoor was this? And he went, what? Oh my God, Ted, what? Oops. All right, folks, we're back. Quick sound check right out there.
Test.
Unique New York.
What
Monique.
the fuck?
Monork.
All right. All right. Okay, let's drop right back into it then, everybody. So the fetch wipes the blood from his nose, coughs up a little blood, immediately drinks a healing potion, and drops the potion on the floor.
So wait a minute. I'm not smart like these people. I really don't like. I mean, you got some big brains in this room, minus Idris. That's a small brain. But basically, what you're saying to him right now is that, like, we're the focal point of the multiverse in this thing. What we're seeing is affecting the whole of Blackmoor or something.
So
Yes.
the fetch looks at Penny like, yes.
Well, I mean, that just sounds like we're real important. And real important people typically have more zeros in what they're getting paid in the back end than what we get paid. So I'm thinking if we're real important in the focal point of the multiverse here, you know, maybe we should be getting treated like it by
I am spread across many different places. You are localized and focused here. And I will do everything I can for you. But your concerns cannot just be commercial, Penny.
I'm gonna reach and place my hand on his shoulder
All right.
and try and focus him, try and pull him into focus. Since we're the focal point, if we anchor him, perhaps he can not have an aneurysm in front of us. Did that help?
Yes.
Good.
That helped. He takes a sip of the scotch that he poured earlier. I will not always be conscious and aware. It is hard for me. This has happened many, many, many times now. Your group has been selected for a specific combination of traits and abilities by the Regency Council, who are all not necessarily fully aware. All we know is that every time a group descends, the world changes. And when they come back up, the world changes. That's all we really know. And the more information we give them, the more we bias their view. There are some constants, but only you will know for certain what the constants are. I will not.
Well, tattoos are pretty permanent. I mean, that's one way you could do it. I'm going to look into that now that I know this.
No one's tried that. That's interesting.
Jinabing, that means that your documentation is the most important literary works of all time.
Well, it is and it isn't. It's actually incredibly frustrating because now I'm realizing that I have all of this incredible documentation and all of this incredible research that may be completely worthless every time we go in the dungeon. So why should I go in the dungeon every time and invalidate my research?
Boom. That's karma from, like, the educational gods. They were like, you want the smarts? Denied. No one will understand. That's why you got to go with the luck. It works everywhere, no matter what the verse is.
Every time something changes that invalidates your work, we will hone in on what is true.
I mean, I suppose it is research unto itself that I will discover the ground truth within any of the possibilities and all of the different parallel universes and dimensions and planes. And so it's still incredibly exciting. And I still intend on going into the dungeon because, I mean, how could I not? because now I have to make sure I record all the variables and the parameters and to ensure that we don't miss anything when we go down and come back up. And so Fletcher, the pre-briefing that I requested, because I am so smart, like I'm smarter than I even knew before. Like I obviously that pre-briefing that when we come back out of the dungeon is so important.
You're looking for a Blackmoor where Blackmoor can win against the Coot. And currently that is not true.
Well,
Yes.
I believe we beat them a couple times, haven't we?
Yes. I think we're trying to understand what's going on below. And okay, would you like some tea? Would you like
Very well.
Sure. As long as he doesn't pour us 9 cups of it.
I think he's broken. Maybe we should go with something because you're just kind of breaking him.
We've taxed his faculties.
I mean, and we didn't even get paid any more money. Is it nothing?
I'm telling you, I feel fine. Pretty outstanding, to be perfectly honest with you. So, you want the Warhammer.
Yes.
The Were Rats, we think, have been allied with the Coot, and the Coot has taken them as thralls. And I think we've come up with a reasonably good plan to secure some additional financing for you. Anything else we really need to discuss today? Anything else you need to do? You've collected quite a bit of information. I don't know if you've gotten all the context you need from it. If you'd like to discuss some additional things with me specifically, I'm more than willing to, dive into whatever you wish me to.
Just to be clear, because I knew we went back and forth on this, but when exactly did the were-rats start appearing? Have they been a consistent thing, or are they new?
Were-rats are well-respected citizens in Blackmoor.
So every time you keep bringing that up, you're causing his brain to almost explode. Why don't you just give it a rest for a second?
Yeah, you're going to give him an aneurysm.
Well, I wasn't trying to call him an aneurysm, but
the rats weren't here before you descended. The rats.
May I recommend that you take a nap and don't ask questions as to why? And you're welcome. With that, I think that you need us to not be here anymore, so we will bid you adieu.
I will give you everything I can, all of you. I understand the risk you're taking. I understand the sacrifice you've been asked me make, and I swear to Odir, I swear to Encelagath, I swear to Sartha, that if I could have told you more, I would have, but I was not physically able. There are times when you pull everything I know together across all the points that you're touching with your action, and I can speak from a broader perspective, but as you can see, there is a physical cost. There is a spiritual cost. So, just like the arrows, Penny, the bolts you have in your quiver, when they are gone, they are gone. Think the same of me. There is only so much I can give before I will shatter.
Yeah, I was going to ask for more about stuff to protect my brain and things, but I'm seeing you having issues with that yourself, so we're just going to let that slide.
No, don't worry. I'm going to go off and research, and I am the best hope because I am a solid fixed point, and I will figure out how to best protect our brains.
How'd I end up with a nosebleed? For God's sakes. It's that damn snuff.
It's easy to explain because you're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning because I give you all of me and you give me all of you. How many times do I have to tell you? Even when you're bleeding, you're beautiful too.
Why,
I think Idris is
Idris.
broken too.
With that,
Sorry.
I'll repeat my suggestion that you take a nap and not ask questions as to why.
Very good. I think I probably will. And Jedabink, if you have research you want to do, here. And he pulls open a pad and he writes a quick script in an order, and you can see that it's on, his stationery. All right. And he takes it off and he hands it to you, and it's the really good paper that you guys just figured out how to fabricate with the adhesive gum across the top, right? This stuff is really useful and expensive. You've only seen there's probably about 40 pads of it in the university, right? And it's got his watermark on it, and it says that you have access to whatever research facilities you need in the Arcane Science Division. Just go ask.
I hoard that little piece of paper, and I protect that little piece of paper.
Man, that's like giving an addict a prescription pad.
I know.
I suppose I probably ought to assert that and make an item for you, huh? All right, I will do that.
Take one
So-
BID.
All right, dropping out of character. The door opens. All right, you guys open the door, and she hops in almost immediately, right? So his research assistant, Jessup is right there with him almost immediately. She's like, "Sir, are you okay?" And he's like, "Yes, I have a headache. They come on every once in a while." She goes, "Oh, yes, sir, very good." And you see them talking. And she goes, she drops down and she says, "Should I send for?" And they're talking. What are y'all doing?
Leaving before we kill this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, leaving.
All right.
Although I am, as we're going off, leaving, I'm like, I don't understand how my simple questions about things, which, admittedly was testing a theory, and yay, I have tested that theory and I understand the parameters, but I don't understand how that is more harmful than Idris's singing.
My singing only hurts one of him. You hurt all of him.
Inspiration.
And we're back to 3.
All right. What would y'all like to do here?
I want to go huddle in a corner and research.
Yes.
All right.
I'm not looking to huddle in a corner to research so much as to copy spells from scrolls into my onto my gem, or however I don't think I actually use a spell book. I use one of those focus gems, right?
So, yeah, your gem is back up. You always have a physical spell book, but what the gem does is it lets you encode it in there and study from that, so you don't have to worry about the destruction of the spell book. All right.
Okay, then that's what I'm doing.
right.
I'm
So, are you going to go to your house to do that then?
No, I'm going to the come back in, because that ensures privacy and quiet, whereas going back to my house ensures the opposite.
All right. You'll have to stop at your house, or you'll have to send someone to pick up from your house the inks, stuff like that. And I'm assuming your spell book is
I
at your house.
purchased them on the way.
Oh, you did? I'm assuming your spell book is at your house, though, right? Are you carrying that for encumbrance, or are you just using your focus?
Good point. If I do have a place in the house to do my research, then I'll do it there. Or yes, I can go to the house and do it.
Okay, cool. If you want to, you can. All right. So I know what Delbert's doing. Idris, what are you doing?
I'm getting those papers together to get all that crockery.
All right. So you're going to go file some legal paperwork. So you're going to go to basically Regency Council, the building, and there's a whole bunch of satellite offices around it. You know where to go. You're going to head to the courts and you're going to file. All right.
Yep.
Penny, what is Penny doing?
Well, that was the thing Penny wanted to do, was talk to the guy whose brain we just almost exploded.
Before we break off, and before Penny goes wherever, and before Genevieve goes wherever. So Penny, I don't care what you're going to go off and do, but tonight, before you go to bed, make sure you drop off whatever thing you want me to make magic, and I'll do that, and I'll give it back to you at breakfast tomorrow.
Okay, for context, all right. You guys see the little green park that's directly outside of the tower where all the major academic offices are, right? You see that park. I'm assuming you got downstairs, stepped outside, and started to talk about what you were going to do, unless you tell me otherwise before you break up. Because I think you're all kind of shocked, and you get downstairs and you start to say, "Holy cow!" Right?
That sounds all
So,
right.
does
Fair.
that sound
Yeah.
reasonable? Okay, so right now you guys are outside there. Now, everybody, give me a quick perception check. All right, Penny and Delbert, actually, this time, you guys do quick kind of 360. Penny, you can see that there's people going back and forth. A couple people notice you, but nobody's eyeballing you. Nobody's giving you more undue attention than they would to anybody who was standing talking. All right. And you see the same sort of thing, Delbert. You see people walking past and talking, but nobody is in a fixed position trying to overhear. All right. And Jenna Bink and Idris, you guys really just are oblivious to all that. You're just focused on what the hell, right? Okay, so go ahead and finish up what your plan is, right? So Jenna Bink, you were saying,
I was just telling Penny that in order for me to magicify her crossbow, that's a technical term, that she needs to provide me that tonight before bedtime, and then I'll provide it back at breakfast.
Oh, okay. You're going to be at the comeback in tonight?
Of course.
And you two are going to go do research inside the tower over there?
I might have to bop back and forth between the tower and the university. There are, the tower is more of a book research thing where I read things, and then I sometimes have to assemble things, and that requires a different space.
Okay. Well, when you're popping back and forth and you're not reading things, don't get stabbed in the neck, because I'm probably going to go make sure Idris doesn't get stabbed in the neck while he's walking around filing paperwork.
Okay, well, I have Catapult with me, and he's pretty good for that.
Okay.
all right, so to recap then, Penny and Idris are going to go file the paperwork, correct? Delbert is going to go home, transcribe spells, correct? Jenna Bink is going to immediately go into research mode. Are you going to go to library research mode or physical research first, Jenna Bink?
I think I need library research first.
All right. You see the big building here with the little four smaller towers, the main tower with the big tower on top, that big dome. All right.
Mhm.
That is over top, that is the main library. So you can go in there and begin your initial research and try and figure out exactly what's going on. All right.
I want to go to the special section that the handy little paper gives me access to.
You right now have unlimited access to anything in a library or any research facility that you think you need. All right. So you've got the special "The Fetch Loves Me" card. All right. So what we're going to do then, Jenna Bink, is I'm going to, we know you're going to make a series of research rolls, so we will do that. All right. Jimmy, take a quick look at transcribing spells. It works very similar for encrypting them also into your gem. Just make certain you're familiar with those rules, and we'll make any adjustments that we need to there. And Idris and Penny, we are off to the court.
Dungeons of bureaucracy.
Yes, man. Yes, I need an immediate fear saving throw because All right. Physical building you're going to need to go to, all right, is right there. All right. That actually is the courthouse. The Regency Council building is across this main park and square. There's a small communal atrium there where, different speeches go on, different debates, occasionally public shows. Same sort of thing over to the right-hand side with a formal stage. So you've got a couple different spaces that get used for different things within the city. But that right there is the courts, and you're going to go speak to one of the clerks and make a formal petition. So walking through the city, up on this side of the city, this is a much more affluent area. Up in here, you've got the Galen Mansion, different mansions for the different folks here. And there's also this is where the major temples are, and there's a lot of really substantial and important physical buildings. So you head to the courts, all right? And as you come walking around the front, you can see that dressed in half plate, standing at the right and left door, are two of Uther's guards. This is the top end kind of defense. These aren't guardsmen. These are Blackmoorian military kind of people. And you walk to the door. They've given you that. Those guards in Buckingham Palace, right, with the big old, those folks. It's that sort of stance. They are completely oblivious. They are on station. They are ready. They don't move. So you pass through the doors into a larger sort of atrium. People moving up and downstairs. You can see a second level all the way around you, up above, made out of marble. Balcony with different offices and stuff. You can see main hall going off to the left and right, big large stairs going up, and immediately a young man, probably 20, 21, comes rolling up to you and goes, "Very good. I see that there's a Galen here to see us today, sir. How may I be of assistance?"
I look around. I'm like, a Galen.
Oh, sorry, Regan. I'm sorry. There's a Regan here with us. Must have been one of those, cross-dimensional slips there, Idris. And yet, Regan here. How can I assist you, sir? Where rats? Where, sir?
He's fine. I'm here to petition the court for a civil forfeiture of some assets located at Zink's Pottery Barn that I'd like to take ownership of, as they were identified during the commission of a crime.
Were you responsible for securing the space and bringing individual justice, sir?
Yes, I was.
All right, well, very good, sir. Follow me. And he takes you up the stairs. He takes you off to the right. Now, Penny, Idris, go ahead and make a quick perception check. So hold it. What's your passive, Penny?
15.
All right.
15.
All right. You note that only people getting this treatment are Hythonians and nobles. Everybody else just has to walk up to this little bench, stand in line, and talk to people. But the Galen comes in, they recognize who he is, they see who he is, they immediately come to him, and they take him directly to the office. All right,
Where's the Galen?
Yeah.
Yeah. If there was a Galen here, they would.
Yeah. Where is this Galen?
A Reagan, I'm sorry. So they take the Reagan to the top. All right. So I don't know. Maybe I got marriage plans for you. Who knows? But anyhow, he takes you immediately up to the appropriate office. All right. Walks through a front door. There's a bunch of people sitting, in a waiting alcove. All right. He walks up, speaks to a clerk. Clerk stands up, goes through a door, comes back out, and goes, "If you follow me, sir." And, there's just some Thonians, there's a dwarf, there's a halfling sitting there, and they're a little annoyed that you bumped them, but, it is kind of what it is. So,
Throw them each a gold.
Oh, so you just basically throw money to the peasants?
No, like as they're there, I'm like, excuse me,
Oh, okay.
For there, because, I jumped the line.
So, all right, go ahead and make a persuasion check for me.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Folks seem to think you're being gracious. They respect what you're saying. I mean, it's annoying to everyone, but it's not necessarily your fault you're being treated this way. This is a systemic problem, not necessarily a personal problem. All right.
Oh, this is my kind of people.
All right. So this individual stands up. His name is Curran. And he goes, "Oh, Mr. Regan, it's a pleasure to see you, sir. How may I be of assistance?"
Well, Curran, I have a problem you can solve.
Which is,
I'm here to file some paperwork on Zink's Pottery Barn. I'd like to take ownership of whatever assets were not confiscated after their criminal activities were uncovered by us.
oh my, that's a little bit of nastiness to happen down on the south side of the city, isn't it, by Southgate? Am I correct,
Yes.
sir?
Yes, it was.
Let's see. Hey, please have a chair. May I offer you and your compatriots some refreshment, sir? Is there anything you need?
Oh, I'm fine with some water. Penny, is there anything you would like?
No, I am good. I don't want anything from here.
All right, very good. And he sits down, and he puts his hand. He reaches over and he puts his hand, and there's this sort of blue glowing sphere next to him. He puts his hand in it, and he fishes around, and he pulls out this scroll, and he goes, "So there was Zink's Pottery Barn, and I see, let's see, you, Penny the Decry, or you're not, obviously you're Decry, but you're Penny, and there was a Jenabink with you also, is that correct, sir?
Yes.
And there was the youngest Galen boy, right? He was with you too, sir?
Yes.
All right, well then I think this is, are you filing for collectively for the four of you, or specifically just for you, sir? And Penny, your compatriot.
I'm filing for all of us. However, I would like to know if the building is available
So
for claim.
the building itself will go up to more formal auction. As far as we can tell at this point, and he looks down at the document that he's got, and he scrolls through it a little bit. He goes, as far as we can tell at this point, there was no formal will or estate. There's no relatives or relations here. There is a slight outstanding mortgage, and that will have to be satisfied. So we are going to put it up for public auction, satisfy the debt, and the balance will be secured for the state. However, the items within, given the risk you took for the state, the items within, based on what you took for the state, probably you should be able to secure. I think you're filing the appropriate paperwork rapidly enough that your claim will be clear. So,
That sounds like a plan.
before we go any further, please fill out this form.
I read it. It's like, because buddy, I don't sign anything unless I have my realtor look at it.
You just need to go ahead and make a straight charisma check here because there's a type of negotiation you have familiarity with. I'm not going to pound on you for your intelligence wisdom here. You can just take this with a straight charisma check. Drop it in the tower, please.
Wait, hang on. Boom.
Straightforward document. You see what they want to do. You think you're going to be able to fill it out with no problem at all. There's a couple bits that are a little bestial for you, but you think you've got it.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So you fill out the paperwork. It takes you about hour and 15 minutes because more pages keep showing up, and you filed your claim for you and your friends.
Boom. All right. I asked them when they're going to do that auction.
He says, the auction will occur probably well after the holidays, I would imagine at the beginning of the next month. The items themselves, I should be able to, should I reach out to you at your family's business? Do you have a specific place? I can see your residence has been documented here.
You can reach me at my flat.
All right, what we'll do then, sir, is we will send you communication then, once we know for certain whether or not your claim is gone. I will... These things sometimes take quite a bit of time to process. I will do everything in my power to expedite it. May I have an insight check, please?
Yeah, I know what he wants.
Penny, he's asking for cash.
Waiting to see if Idris also catches on to this.
Idris isn't picking it up. PG, I think, has figured it out. Idris hasn't.
I'll nudge him.
What?
I
I'll
enjoy
tap, I'll tap the bottom of Idris's coin pouch.
So I so enjoy the theater. Don't you enjoy the theater, sir?
Oh, I do.
Have you had a chance to see the lamentable tragedy of the fall of the king?
Oh, I actually have a extra ticket as one of our members of our group did not wish to attend.
Oh, my goodness, sir. It would be so gracious if you could share that to me. Will you have them pick it up for me at will call?
Oh, I will definitely have her name struck from the will call and yours added.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. So I am Curran Brewer's son.
Write it down. Enjoy. I hear it's pretty good. Alwyn's in it, right?
Well, sir, I will do my best to expedite this. Is there anything else I can do for you?
Not at this time. No, I think we're good.
All right. Well, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate your time. I will make certain that this is taken care of with all due diligence. And blessings upon your house. And I thank you so much for the sacrifices you've taken for our good state. Is there anything else I can do for you, sir?
Ooh, no, this isn't. This is just the like the this is like the property appraiser slash type office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I'm good at this time.
All
I
right.
was going to ask
So
something else.
you head out then, I imagine.
Yes.
All right. Genevink, specifically, what are you looking to accomplish?
I am trying to nail down the proper specifications for the lenses and goggles that would help to counter and diffuse the wavelength of 490.25 that I suspect is coot light and therefore would provide some protection against that issue.
All right. So your first real serious, um, investigation here is going to be um, really about um, that specific item. So what you want to do is you're trying to test your theory. Can you build an object? Can you build goggles that will block the influence of this if it's transmitted by light? Correct?
Correct. And actually, I should mention that since I have the super secret Fletcher card, I'm going to go into some of the stuff that I probably didn't have access to before to see if, historically speaking, any kind, there's any prior research on this kind of thing or any prior artifacts that have been attempted.
All right. Very good. All right. You reach out to the head librarian when you come in and you say, you know, come up to the front desk. All right. And of course, oh, hi, Jenna Bink. All right. You recognize one of the students that you TA'd for your parents. All right. Her name is Gil. She's like, hi, Jenna Bink. How can I help you?
Oh, hi. I'm here to do some research. It's very important. Fletcher has given me full access to the library. I'd like some of the more restricted historical archives, if you would, please.
Well, I'll have to get the head librarian, ma'am. I'll be right back. And this gnome, all right, and you've met Shriana, all right, comes out, and she's little for a gnome, all right, just barely coming up on 3 foot tall, all right, like 2'8" or 9. This person about this tall, all right. So she comes walking out, all right, and she's like, Jennifer, step into my office, please.
Okay.
And she goes, and how's my girl? And she touches your hand. You've known this girl off and on. She's always been this woman. She's always been very pleasant to you. All right. There's several gnomes in faculty, and she is without a doubt one of them. So she brings you into her office, and she sits down and she goes, so, my dear, I'm told you have a special dispensation from Fletcher William for access to research materials and different facilities within the university. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, absolutely. See, paper.
May I see it? Thank you, dear. And she looks at it, she goes, oh my, someone's been a good girl. Here you go. All right, dear, what specifically do you need to research and how may I assist you? I know this library better than anyone.
I'm looking for historical encounters with the coot, and I am looking for engineering type research regarding wavelengths of light and influences upon the psychology of people.
Well, the problem with documentation based on the egg of coot is so few people remember after their encounters with them. It's almost like their memory is swept away. So we don't have a tremendous amount of documentation. I can give you what we have. There have been some success in the Moon Tower when they get people to regress, but those folks are usually profoundly damaged. But I do have some notes from that, and that's probably going to be the best source for you. Secondly, you've read Grisby's book on arcane refraction and light. You're familiar with that text?
Of course.
I think probably the best thing for me to do is I have various assorted research notes and papers in various stages of peer review that I'm prepared to give you access to. So there's a few people working on that here and also in Mouse that I can, give you access very specifically to those documents. Those are probably going to be the best 2 points of contact that I can deliver to you initially. Is this acceptable, dear?
Oh, absolutely acceptable. And another avenue of exploration that I might suggest is, as loath as I am to admit it, mythology and legend is really just non-peer-reviewed kind of things. And so if you happen upon any kind of legendary goggles of stuff or legendary stories about the coot, I would also appreciate those.
Well, all right. I will do a bit of research and see if I can come up with any additional text. Nothing comes to mind immediately, unfortunately. But I will see if I can find something else out. Now, there's always a risk, but I can reach out to one of my peers in the Westfold and see if there might be something at the Cabal. They have different sorts of research than we do. So if you're not able to find what you need here, I can of course reach out and attempt to find other sources.
Let's start with what you have local, and we'll see if I can make progress in a physical and engineering matter from that. And if not, possibly we'll encounter the Cabal. But I would like to, not encounter them if I don't have to.
No, I agree completely, girl. I think you're being very discreet. I absolutely try to avoid interaction with the Cabal whenever I can. There are very, very, very many good wizards who are within the Cabal, but there are elements of the Cabal that I find intrusive, disrespectful, and unaware of how arcane science needs to be made manifest.
I completely agree with you. I think arcane science and the Cabal just, the more I think about it, the less I think they mesh. And I really have some questions about how the Cabal is able to operate legally.
Alrighty. So what I see going on, Jen, and she says, come with me, let's go find the text. So she takes you off in the library. What I see happening, and this is going to happen over the course of probably a week for you to do all the research in the way that you need to do, all right? You're going to make a roll to test your core theory, all right? And first you're going to make a roll to find out how the Coot's powers have manifested, all right? Based on that, you're going to make a roll to test whether or not your theory is viable if you think light can block. And then you're going to make a roll to see if you can determine what you would need to make the items in question. Does that make sense? A series of 3 rolls?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm going to pause briefly. I'm going to hop over to Delbert, and then I'm going to hop back over to you. Okay? So Delbert Regan, see, I can do that for you too.
Yeah.
All right. You've seen one Hythonian, you've seen them all. So anyhow, Delbert, you're gone home. All right.
Yep.
You come home and, Mary greets you, right? She's one of the servants in the household. And
about
says,
30 seconds later, all hell breaks loose as everybody in the house comes and does the greeting thing and latching on to legs and having to be drug across the floor, all that business.
I thought you were talking about the were-rats coming into the tent.
So your mother, sir, did ask that you speak to her. Your sister is at the university in lessons. Your father,
okay.
Your father is across the compound on the other side of the alley in the park at the business, at the warehouses. But your mother did ask when you came in if you could go and see her, sir.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. So, let's see. I do have to say, one of the finest things that you guys have ever done for me as your DM is Delbert's mom has got it going on. I just have to tell you that was, I am still giggling about that in the background. All right. Let me pull some stuff up here real quick. And, she pulls you into a drawing room and she sits down very quickly and she goes, so, my dear, I don't want to waste your time. It looks like you've been tremendously busy. As I understand it, you stayed at the Come Back In last night. Is that correct, sir?
I did, yes.
that is completely and totally within your right. My question for you is, should my expectation be that moving forward you will be sleeping there, or will you continue to stay at home?
For the most part, home. But I needed to have the time to think.
Oh, I do respect that, dear. I do. And I'm sorry if I come across a bit pointed, but you just need to be aware that we live in the city, and there's certain elements of propriety you need to be conscious of and aware. And I am getting queries from many good families as to what you are doing in and about the city, and I tell them that you are on your own business and you are a young man and you're making your way in the world and you are, doing, you are in your harrowing and earning your right to truly be called noble, and that gets many people to step away from the conversation, may I say.
Hmm.
So, but I just wanted you to be aware of that as much as you can. Now, your brother and his wife will be having um, a formal dinner. They've asked to have it here, and I would ask you to be in attendance to that. And it's really something you can't miss.
Very well.
Will your friends
Then
be
I shall
attending?
not miss it.
Will your friends be attending?
Would you like them to?
That is completely and totally your decision. Um, let's be frank. I have been incredibly tolerant towards your Ducray friend Penny because I recognize she's passed through hardship and she's had little public support. But if she continues to steal curios and silverware, I'm going to have to take matters into my own hands. So if you could make certain that she stops stealing the silverware, I would very much appreciate that. Secondly, Jenna is wonderful and charming and a very, very nice person. And I would not know Idris were a Regan if he did not introduce himself as a Regan. Have you ever seen his family? And of course you have.
I have. I have not.
So, well, his father is an absolute arrogant bastard. And all his brothers, everyone that I've met, are convinced that they have no ardor. I guess is the best way to describe it. And I don't mean the god, I mean scent. They are condescending and rather unpleasant. Smart, appear to be patriots in a true sense of the word. Mighty in battle, they have all stood up and fought alongside Uther and alongside us against Thonia, but they are arrogant and condescending. They represent the worst elements of the old Thonian nobility, in my estimation. And your friend Idris, I hold in high regard. So if you want your friends to be here, please, please, please invite them. Just, I would appreciate it if you could send Penny to me after you've spoken to her. I could have a conversation. And do you know, has Penny ever been given an opportunity to wear formal dress? It would
I
be,
have no idea, but that sounds like a wonderful idea.
it would be my great and abiding pleasure to take her and your sister-in-law, and of course your sister, out with Penny and Jenabink if she wants to come, and I, of course, would purchase the clothing and give them an opportunity to dress in attire appropriately to this event and their proximity to our station. Does that make sense?
You would like to take them shopping.
Absolutely. And I think there are wonderful things that I can do for Penny in terms of her hairstyle, her clothing, certain cosmetics that will help her move in other circles. And she seems bright. She seems committed. She seems a stalwart friend, if a bit sinister and clearly wounded in the heart. But I would love an opportunity to show her what it is to be part of our family and to have our blessing and our support. And also that being a lady, has certain forms to it that are within her capacity and within her compass. She is a being and person of signal merit, from what I can tell and from what you've told me, and I would like to give her a chance to have her beacon shine in society. Do you think she would accept that?
I have possibly. You know, we can only hope.
Well then, why don't you arrange to have them come to breakfast in the morning, and I will
I
give
will
them
do exactly that.
outstanding breakfast where we can discuss these issues in detail.
Wonderful.
All right. Um, Janabink, I think the first roll that you have to make is a research-based roll. All right. And this is really going to be a history check, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to find in these texts, in these notes from the Moon Tower, descriptions of what has happened with different people who've been possessed by the thrall and how that energy manifests. So I need you to make a roll there. All right.
History artificers lore, or what do you want?
Let's start with a straight history check. You can use history artificers lore when we get into looking for items that that could manifest this ability. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But this is just
you
Go
said
ahead.
there's going to be 3 rolls, right?
Yeah, so you're going to make a history check. You're going to make an arcane science check. So first thing you're going to do is look at the notes and see, has this manifested in the way that you think it is. Second roll you're going to make is you're going to make a roll that, and I'm just going to work you through mechanics here because we're having a mechanics conversation. Second roll you're going to make is going to validate your theory. You're going to say, okay, here's the things that I have seen happen. All right. Does the light behave the way I think based on how I understand it? And then you're going to test the science behind it. And then the third thing is basically you're making a research roll, a science roll, and then the last thing you make is your engineering roll, where you say, okay, so I know it works like this. I've had it reported to me this way. This is the science behind the manifestations that have been described in layman's terms, and this is the object that I'm going to make. Does
Okay,
that make sense? Now,
that's fine.
if you blow any one of those rolls, it delays additional research till you break a level.
Okay.
All right. So you can use hero points or your all right. Now, just because I do this to all of you in situations like this, if I think it's worth it, I will prompt you just because I'm a nice DM. All right.
Oh, I'm using hero points. I don't care what you say.
All right. So you're going to make your history check with a hero point.
Correct.
Very good. Go ahead.
I think that was her saying she doesn't think you're a nice DM, Ted.
I know it, but it's okay. I still love her. All right. Okay. So it takes you about 2 days to go through this. It's going to roll over the next day. We're going to assume you're tied up in research. But absolutely, every episode of possession that you've run into, all right, every episode of possession, when it manifests, all right, when it happens, it's people report being covered in blue light, having blue light project into them, being covered in a nimbus of blue light. Every one of them manifests in the same way. All right. So you very much think, yeah, okay. All right. That makes good sense. So you are able to, in your first pass of research, able to absolutely validate what you found there. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So that's your first pass. Delbert is going to go and transcribe spells, right?
While we're on the topic of my adventures in town, and I don't think you quite used the word slumming around, but at any rate, I happen to have bumped into Callie Goodbarrel, and she said to say hi to you,
Oh,
and that it has been a long time.
well, we all pass through our harrowing, don't we, dear?
Indeed.
Yes, well, I and your father both may carry our titles because we did not sit idly by and hide in taverns for 5 years. We went out into the world and did as we must do. At one point in my life, I was very, I had certain skills with a rapier, is all I would like to say. And
I'm not judging.
and a certain approach to things that makes someone like Penny near and dear to my heart, let us say. But those days are past, and she and I and your father traveled together for a bit when we were young people, in much the way you travel with the people that you know. So I have great and profound respect for the faith of Hirsch, and we almost call on the God of chance from time to time. So,
Indeed, especially in our line of in our family business.
yes, our social position makes certain demands of us. And I have to tell you, Delbert, that one of the things that I've enjoyed the most about my children, as your sister or as, your nephews, or when you were a child, childhood is its own blessing. It's a type of fondness that is dear to me, while your children you help grow and shape and find themselves in the best possible way. But you, as a young man, is someone coming into his virtue, as someone coming into his own position and understanding of the world. This is the true pleasure of my life, both for your brother and for you, and for your sister, who I miss, but who does her duty for us in Mouse. So I am honored that you are my son and you are passing into honorable manhood. I just ask you always, always, always to be aware of who you are and your station, and how your behavior might be viewed by others. I will, as your father will, defend you unless you are guilty of crimes against the state, wherein there will be no defense. We are clear, of course.
Absolutely.
But as you do what you need to do to pass through your harrowing and become more, well then, you will always have my respect and support in that.
And with that, I will retire to my room and do my thing.
All right. Idris and Penny. I think Jenna Bink is tied up like hitting the books. I think Delbert is I think Delbert is up there looking at these new scrolls, adding to a spell book. To you, what you want to do? You're going to head back to the come back in. Took you probably till about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon to do what you had to do.
I mean, I probably use some R&R at this point in time.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't want to end up like the Fletch bleeding out through your nose.
So, Idris, you kind of got the feeling that without a doubt, Alwyn wanted to meet you before you went to the theater. Are you going to go with her to
for
the
sure.
theater? All right.
Oh yeah. I didn't know what time it started, but yeah, I'll head over there.
All right. Good enough. So, Penny, you want to go to the theater with Alwyn and Idris?
Absolutely not.
No? Okay.
You can always steal from people there.
All right.
I mean, I can always steal from people anyway.
All right. You go